Good morning and happy Saturday, everybody. It's March. Can you believe it? And we are creating and connecting right here on Pink Fresh Studio. This is time for another wrap up and another craft hour. So glad to have you join us. I'm your host, Jeff Lindberg, and almost every month at the top of the month, I get together with you to create and connect an amazing card from Pink Fresh Studio, but I don't do it alone. I have to do it with a friend, a person who has high energy and is well known in the creative industry. And boy, do we have a great guest for you today. Vicki Boutin joins us on the show today. So we're so happy to have her join us. I just wanted to let you know that we love creating and connecting with you in special ways, but we do that by you sharing the joy and the wealth. So do us a favor as we kick off this exciting month of March by sharing with all your friends that you are watching the show. You know, screen cap an image of you and your cup of coffee, maybe you and your make that you're making this morning, a screenshot of me. I don't even care if I'm making an awkward face in the camera when you take it, but tell everybody to tune in and either watch the show or do it live. It brings us joy and it helps us connect with you. And if you're watching on replay, play along in the comments with us. We love it. And speaking of the comments, remember, the more you comment, the more that we can have fun and we can give away a gift card. Let's kick it off by doing something I always love to do. If you're new to the show, type an N. If you're here for Vicky and never seen me before, type a V. Let's have some great interactions and have a great morning. Pam is here in the show today. Barbara joins us. I love you, Barbara. Thanks for joining. Lisa is here. Yessie Scraps, Diane Hunter, Linda Hilbert. We're so glad to have you join us from Colorado and so glad that you're here for Miss Vicky B. Well, let's do that. Let's get some chat in. Let's go all the way to Canada and check in with our favorite girl near Niagara Falls. Vicki Boutin is going to join us, and we're going to have a great day kissing our grandma, kissing like our grandma. I think I got that right. Let's check in with Vicki and find out. Hey, Vicki, welcome to the show. You're live with the Craft Hour. How are you this morning? Good morning.
Gotta fix my camera. Here we go.
There we go. Perfect. Hi, Vicki B. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, you know, you have been so kind and generous to me. We met at Creativation about 2 years ago, where I met your fantastic spirit. You offered a hug the minute we met each other. And then I came over to your booth where people were surrounding you and you started to play and show me all of your techniques. And I couldn't wait to get to know more about you. A couple of weeks later, you then joined one of my Instagram lives where we got to know each other just a little bit better. And I found out that you're a great conversationalist as well as a great crafter. And I immediately was drawn to you as a friend. So when Leah asked you to be on the show, I'm so thankful. So welcome to Craft Hour.
Thank you for having me. And I'm going to take that moniker now that I'm a great conversationalist.
You are.
People would probably all my life say I talk a lot, but I will take that I'm a great conversationalist.
It's perfect. Yeah. Meredith, she does look great in the yellow. We're definitely loving the yellow and the sunny side of Vicki. That's the reason why we had her on the show. Hey, we should give a shout out to our moderator in the sky. As you have talked to her all morning already, Leah Lawson is here.
Yay, Leah.
She's connecting. Leah in particular is such a fan. She was so excited that you said yes, and I am too. So let's look. You got the V-Boo crew here. Did you come up with that name from all of your lives? Because clearly this is not your first foray. You got a great audience and a great channel going on. Is that a moniker you came up with?
No, I think somebody in the group came up with it. But I have nicknames through the craft industry for boots, V-Boo. A lot of people have called me V-Boo. So I guess with the Boutin, it's my husband's name, obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was like a Boots, like that was his nickname in high school. So it just, I guess it transcends, right? It is now the V-Boo crew. I was doing lives for a couple of years before COVID, but when the world shut down, this whole world totally, like, I think saved lives. Really not, my art didn't, stop somebody from having a heart attack or whatever, but for mental health, it was a huge thing. And the community very much grew. It grew, and we supported each other through art, crafting, and connecting. So it's taken on a world of its own, right? These guys.
Which I love about Pink Fresh Studio, because that's their mission, is to create and connect. And you and I, and we've talked about this before, we're very pro therapy. We're very pro talking about emotions and feelings. But you and I both use creativity to paint and forecast some positivity out in the world. And I love that you're saying that. And, we all need a little lifting right now. Our hearts are heavy for what's happening in Ukraine. Our dear friend Yana, and what she's going through. Pink Fresh stands with her and stands with Ukraine. And it's so good to have just some bright light, because the more bright light we can put out there right now by using our creative forces, and I do think it's a force, and you demonstrate that with your work every single day, we can do great things even in dark times. So preach on, sister. I believe that. I believe
100%.
Yeah.
I believe that. Like, even in our life, like I try to, where I always like where I draw attention or let everybody know I'm thinking about you, because we have a lot of friends that are out there, and this is kind of our support group. So I like to touch on it and then say, okay, now let's take our mind off it for a few minutes and just do, to me, what is the most healing thing is just make some art. Just take your mind off of it and just do something that's totally selfish and for you, and do something creative. Like, I do think Vicky, it is the best medicine.
Before we get down to our desktops, I will say that's another thing that I fell in love with about you, is that you like to empower your makers. You want people to feel bold and okay with the choices that they make. If it's sloppy, if it's wrong, if I remember correctly from you talking to you or listening to podcasts that you've been on, shout out to our scrapbook.com family that's in the audience. And by the way, Inkblot Shot is here, Chris is here, all my idols.
I know, I can't even look, because that will make me cry. Like, I said in our group last night, I said, one or two of you show up just so I don't look like a loser when I'm on with Jeff, that somebody shows up. So, well,
147 people can't be wrong. They're all here for you. We need to get those thumbs up, by the way. If 150 of you are watching, let's get 150 likes. Let's smash that like button for me and say hello. So many around the world, even Australia, are joining us today. We always love that. So yeah, let's think about heading down to the desktop. But before we do, what I want you all to know is that you follow Vicky B, so that's not unusual to you. But what I love about today's show is that we're going to have bright, bold, heavily saturated colors that come to life via the way that Vicky teaches you to use mediums in a different way. And I'm so glad. Of course, we have to have our water ready, because water plays a huge part into the art that she makes, and it makes it bold and fantastic. So we're so excited. Let's get to that card making. Can I send you to the waiting room?
Yes, and I'll get the camera set up so I'm not messing anything up.
Perfect.
So
all right.
good.
We'll see you in 2 seconds. Back to the waiting room you go, and I'll say hi to everybody, and I'll see you in a minute. Thanks, Vicky. Everybody, you're watching the Craft Hour here at Pink Fresh Studio. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button. 92 likes already in the chat. Thank you so much. So glad to have Sue Moody here. Glad to have you here. Pam is here. Lori Cohen's given another thumbs up. Julie Beaver is here. Susie, link and shared. I love that you liked and shared it, Susie. That's so great. Ann F is here. I love Ann. Welcome to the show, everybody. Create and connect with us. Share that you're talking in the show. Let's get down to that desktop and let's get going. Get your inks out if you can. Today, we're going to be using a stencil set to the nth degree. This is Brighter Days, and we've been trying to use it on the show for some time, but Vicky B is going to teach us how to do it the right way. So let's get her back in the chat and we will get started. All right, Miss Vicky, how are you doing? We just got to fix your, you're in.
Am I right?
Yep. Portrait, we got to get you to landscape real quick.
Okay, just a second. So you get to see the mess, because I'll share it. There's the mess. Is it right now? Are we good? It's not upside down?
You are perfect. You are awesome.
Perfect. Okay,
and hey, I've got great news. I've got exciting news before we get down to our making. Do you know that our friends at Pink Fresh Studio are so excited about your live that they're not just giving away one gift card today for $15. They're giving out two. And, this is a good time to do it because, as you all know, March is National Craft Month, and there is a special 10% off happening on the website. There's some exclusion, and it ends on March 10th, but that $15 gift card can go a long way with our special promotion going on. So be sure to check that out. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. You got some beautiful Vicky colors there. Vicky, run through the colors. Run us through what you want us to think about today with these colors and why you picked this stencil set.
Okay, so I'm going to talk this through. So if anybody wants to play along, which I hope, I always like that you guys take a little bit of time to do something creative for yourself. I am going to be using my foundations paper. You can use whatever you like, but you will need 3 pieces of 4x6. Let's just start with that 4x6 of a heavier weight paper, whatever you're planning on using. We are going to do my kissing technique. We're going to be, I freaking love this Brighter Days set with the stencils, the dies. I need to get a foiling platform so I can try all of this hot foiling, but I'm not there yet. But we're going to be using the dies from Brighter Days, the stamps, and the stencils. So the colors that I'm going to use, we're going to do the kissing technique with Coral Reef and with Mint. And then we're going to do some of the stenciling with a warmer palette. I'm going to go hot. I'm channeling some tropical vibes today in cold Ontario. I have passion fruit, bubble gum, and raspberry bliss. And I hope you guys can see them. I'll just leave them right here. And then I'm going to use marigold and mustard seed for the warmer palette. And then just for the leaves, I have meadow and grassy knoll. So that is the color palette. You will need a mister of some sort, a paintbrush and some water, paper towels. And I'm just using the backing because all these inks are water soluble. It'll wipe right off. The backing from the stamp set. And that's what I'm going to do the kissing technique with. So we're going to kiss. We're going to do some drips. We're going to stencil. Oh, you need blending brushes, whatever you're using to blend your ink. Did I cover it all, Jeff?
I think so. I just got to grab some blending brushes myself. I mean, not some blending brushes, some brushes. I don't know why. Hello, that was silly for me not to have that prepared, but it was when the arms reach and I'm ready to
That's
go.
All good, right? That's this what we love here.
This color is totally tropical vibes. I believe that too. Scrapbook.com. Scrapbook.com. Thanks for watching. Angela Simpson is here. Another amazing colorist. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I saw lots. I saw it. Laura is out there.
Dee is here too.
Yeah.
Oh, this
I
is
love
good.
it.
Good energy.
See, now the pressure's on. Now the pressure's on. I have all these amazing card makers, and now I've got to put my big girl panties on. I'm going to do this now
and get it done. All right, I'll pick my big boy briefs and get it done. All right. So what do we do first? What do I get ready?
So we have we're going to do the kissing technique, which I like. I don't know. It's probably out there, and maybe it's called the kissing technique. I don't know if it's a Vicky thing, but I always like to say we're going to kiss it like it's your grandma, not like The Rock.
My favorite.
Right?
She said this a long time. She said this to me in front of me at Creativation. She said it on podcasts. She said it on her lives. But the fact that she said it on my show just makes me very happy. I've been waiting my entire life.
Jeff. Just for you, Jeff.
Because the whole
idea, right? Yeah. is that you don't want to put a lot of pressure down, because when you do this, your idea, I don't know if you can see the clear Mylar, is you're using this as a tool for easy watercolor application. So the reason I do this is we can get color down fast. And now with the tools of having these amazing stencils, I can look like a master colorer with really, you don't have to have a ton of creative skill. So I hope that you guys will like this. We're going to go in with Coral Reef is what I'm going to start with. I have a hard time with reef.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't roll off, right? It's like, I want to say wreath.
This is Aaliyah Lawson favorite color. So we can all rest easy that Coral Reef is being used in the show today.
I love it. It is a great warm neutral, right? In your pinks. And we're going with the lightest color because we don't want it to compete with the layers when we go to stencil. So we're going to go in with Coral Reef, and you'll see that I just squished some ink from my little cubes down on my Mylar. And now I'm just going to go in and mist with a little bit of water. I'm not even going to blend it because I like some of the darker circles to show up. And then I'm going to go in there and then just start depositing some pigment. So what the idea is with this stamp, which I love, and my friend Natalie D'Souza, who's out there, was talking to me about the stamp set, is that all the stamps are in one piece. It just makes all the stenciling and die cutting so much easier. So what's you have to keep in mind is you won't need to get pigment all over the card because you're not really sure where your stamps are going to be. You can't choose where it's going to go because all the stamps are in one piece, right?
Good tip. So I need to, I'm coming in a little dark, but
it's okay. Put some water. Here's how, because we can work through and fix this, right? So you have a full pad, I have a mini. So you just got more ink on your Mylar. So all you want to do is put some mist on there. Just mist that up and lift it with a little bit of paper towel if you have it.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm going to do now, because you cannot build depth while it's wet, you need to dry your layer and then put a second layer on top, is I'm going to give this a quick blast with my heat gun. And then we're going to come in and do one more application of the kissing technique. Because this is really a base and just an easy way to get color on your background. But it's really flat right now, just kind of one tone. And I would just like a couple more dots and splats of color. So I'm just going to give this a quick set. And these inks are awesome. I love that you get, when you use them wet, like a watercolor, that two different pigments, the kind of ink separates. So I get kind of a little bit of a orangier tone and a pinker tone. And I love that. So I'm not baking this like a cookie. I'm just trying to take some of the moisture out. So I can put my
like a cookie.
Don't bake it like a cookie.
Love it.
So see what I'm doing here, Jeff, is I don't need to keep drying those big pools of water. I'll just pick it up with my paper towel. And already you're getting this kind of light, pretty watercolor that I didn't have to go in with a brush, where it's kind of can be intimidating, is where to start, how to add the color. It's the easiest way for color to deposit color. You do want some white open spaces. You don't want a whole sheet of just a peachy pink, because this is what adds charm, right? Those little spots. How you doing?
I'm good.
You're doing great. I love it. So now I'm going to go in. Less is more now that I have pretty much the whole sheet has color on it. I will go in with less pigment. So with your bigger pad, just like a little touch of color, but I love that, right? So I'm just going to put a little touch of color, and I'm going to add a little bit of depth with my second layer. You can go in with a paintbrush, you can go in with your mister, whatever you have, and just get some pigment and water mixing so it's flowing around your card. That's the other thing, is with doing watercolor, the biggest thing is water control. So I'm going to go in here now, and here is the kiss it like it's your abuela, your nona, your grandma. She's frail, and you need to go in there and just gently add some of that water. And now I'm adding those kind of polka dots. And when I go to dry this, you start to really see the depth in that splotchy watercolor. Okay, and then again, I'll pick up the little pooled spots, because it does like double duty. Where when I pick up the color, I just have those crisp outer lines where the pigment has pushed out and wicked as it dries. So I'm just going to get some on my edges, because I found when I made this the first time, I forgot to put color over here, and how the stamp works, you do need to make sure you don't ignore the edges. Look at you go, Jeff. I love it.
I'm doing it. And
How's
friends,
everybody doing out there?
Yeah. First of all, friends, don't, we are using the same color. Don't forget that we use two different iPhones, two different settings. I have mine running through a different system, so I'm looking a little darker than Coral Reef really is. You can check the true camera color of Vicky. That's a more demonstration. I'm coming in a little hot. I don't have natural, I have only natural lighting, etc. So it's all different.
Mine are studio lights, but can I hold that up and you'll see? So it is like it is a real peachy pink. So one more dry, and then we're done with this color. We're going to repeat it in the green, which is mint. If you haven't grabbed that yet, you'll need the mint. So again, you don't have to bake it till your paper starts to warp and roll. And again, the paper I'm using here is my foundations paper through American Crafts. It's kind of magical for inking because it's 140 pound.
Oh, wow.
So I know you card makers use a lot of really amazing papers. This is one you might want to add to your magical toolbox if you like to do really wet techniques and coloring, because your markers will work great on this. Your inks work really well on this. There's no tooth. It's smooth. It's not super bright white, but it is white. But you see, after all that wet, it still goes pretty flat. Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So that is my base. Now look, like it's very pretty. This could be something you could use to die cut. If you're sitting down one day and you're like, I have 30 minutes, you could make a bunch of these bases so they're ready for your stamping. Like, I really think it's just a fun way to make quick backgrounds.
And you can turn out a card so much faster that way too.
I think so, right? And especially if you are doing like a large quantity of cards, it's a great thing. So what we're going to do next is the green. And then I have the base. We're going to make the base where you see the little yellow drips. So we're just going to drip some yellow ink, and then we'll get on to the stamping and stenciling. So I'm going to go pretty quickly. Same technique. We're going to put one layer, lots of pigment down with mint. I'm using mint.
Okay.
And then we'll put a second layer on. I'm only cutting 2 leaves out of this one, so we don't need to cover the whole space. Just cover a section that you'll be able to get your stamps in. Again, mist. And shout out to my man, Tim Holtz. This distress sprayer is like my favorite thing. Right. Isn't it crazy? Like, it's the simplest thing, but I just love that it just seems to know the perfect amount of water to put out there. So my friends out there that are doing this, if you are finding that you're not getting a really flowy watercolor technique, probably too much ink and not enough water, or if it's too light, too much water, not enough ink.
I truly need to do this more often, because it is such a great artistic way to use and to stretch your product just a little bit more.
Right? Because you probably use your blending tools a lot, and just these inks are great, perfect for it. They work so well. And using what you have for just traditional stamping, but they are water soluble. This won't work with every ink. You have to test your inks, but it works beautifully, and these blend beautifully. So love them. And I love that they all fit in my little drawer. All the mini cubes are very fun. So that's all I'm going to put down for this green. 2 applications I feel is enough.
Okay.
And I'm just going to give it a quick dry.
Friends, thanks so much for joining us here for the craft hour. You're seeing us do some ink to paper with some water distress. This is a kissing technique. We're going on our second blend of a mint green. I've got a little bit of an ouchie, but again, with us having, this was supposed to be on a separate section. Whoops.
You're okay, because where the flowers are going to, yours will be perfect.
Got it. Well, I have
another. Will need to do like a little green section.
Okay.
And maybe a little bit more, just go on a second sheet and just do a quick application of green, and at the top, a little bit of coral reef, because you're just going to need a little piece for your sentiment, but you're totally fine. Okay. And I love this, Jeff. This whole concept is awesome. I love having my partner doing it along. So you never can make a mistake, right? They're just happy accidents, or you're going down a different path.
Yeah. This was the brainchild of Leah, our moderator, and she just said, look, we should do a show where you have conversation just as much as crafting, and talk about everything, talk about life, talk about what's happening in the world, and make at the same time. And I will tell you that it's been a joy to be able to meet crafters through their personal lives just as much as their skills, because we all see your skills. We watch you, we follow your channels, we see your makes. But to get to know the people behind the product is an absolute joy. And that's why I love doing this show for Pinkfresh. All right, I'm going to do my second application of mint, and then I'll be right with you. Sorry to hold us up.
Well, and Leah actually just made a good point that you'll be fine. You can do your leaves on that first one, because the leaves on the stamp are at the top. But you will need another piece of the coral reef for your sentiment, and then you'll be fine. So don't make too much work there. Okay. That was good. Thank you, Leah. All right. I saw the call out. That was perfect.
All right. So I will catch up later. So go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. So the only thing that we need to do now is the base of the card. And this cut size finish, this is an A2 card, will be a 4 by 5.25. Okay, but whatever size you have it now is perfect. And then you can just cut it down to size.
All right.
So this is super quick. One of the other things that I love to do for my backgrounds, especially when I started and I was messing around with a card, I find when you have like a painterly effect, to have a painterly background really makes your the supporting cast to your superstars, right? So the flowers are your superstar, but having those little drips in the background really kind of make that sing with your kind of white rusty eye pattern in the back. So what I did for this one is just went in with some mustard seed and try to keep it pooled in one area, because we're not going to kiss this. We're going to drip it and splat it. So I just added a little bit of the mustard, sweet mustard. I apologize. The sweet mustard to the background. And then you can go in with your paintbrush or with your mister. And you're just going to wet this. And then what I'm going to do is take this really high and let it drip, because then we get those really fun splats. Okay. I will put a little bit more down on my sheet. And when you're doing the drips and the splats with the paintbrush, the key is to have like a round brush. And I like a number 8 or a number 10. And it does not have to be the most expensive brush, but you don't want the cheapest brush, because if the fibers in the end are more like this, like a natural hair coarse, it doesn't hold the water and pigment very well. So then I'm just going to go in and put a little bit more controlled dots. And when you we get to assembling this card, if you find you didn't put them in the right area, you can always come back and add. I love it. Leah is saying she's realizing she's a very rigid card maker. I am crazy. I will just go in here and make a mess, because you know what? It's a piece of paper, my time. If it doesn't turn out, I can use it to die cut later. Like you could totally die cut sentiments out of one of your mixed media backgrounds you don't love. Because when you take the funk and you contain it in something smaller, it can be beautiful. So you never throw anything away, and you never are hard on your creative ability. It all comes with practice and play. It's the most fun, right?
Yeah, I definitely need to play more with this technique, because I find myself trying to be as effortless as you. But that's,
are you trying to control it, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm trying to. And it's looking a little too controlled, I think. Yeah.
But it's one layer, right? You just go in and put a couple more drips down. But I find that is when I'm sitting in a class, which hasn't been for a while, most of it's online, so I can't see what people are doing and the struggles they're having, is the biggest thing. I'll come and say, it's just a piece of paper in your time, deep breath. It comes with practice. It's practice, like play, practice, repeat. Like, you know, like any technique, when I get that foiling machine, that heat foiling, you know, it's not going to be perfect the first time I do it.
The same thing, yeah.
And then I just say, but you don't quit. Like, I find the most learning comes literally through what you practice, play, and self-discovery. So I'm going to put another drip on here, because I know up here, oops, see, I just totally dripped it off the page. That just happened in real time. Because I was looking for my card and dripped it off here. So the biggest thing, get your splats on there. I like to pull it in a section. So my first application is kind of random, but then if I need to fill spaces in, because I know up here, right, I'm going to have open space over here, open space. You want a little bit down at the bottom. And then I faked some of this, which I'll show you later. Like if you get it on here and you're like, oh, this whole spot's white, I just went and tapped it with my paintbrush. So I'm going to say we're good here. You still can, like, say, look, I want a little bit more coverage there. I'll just take my clean sheet and force that where I want it. And
my colors are so off today in camera. I overcorrected the saturation on my phone and it's looking like I used a highlighter, but I promise sweet mustard is a lot sweeter than what you're seeing.
But we can still see what you're doing there, right? It looks great. I love that.
So empowering. There's that empowerment coming out with Vicky B. I love it. All right.
And you see, when I'm going in, I'm not really heating this a lot. The whole thing with your pigment is it's a mix of pigment and moisture. So I am just applying the heat gun. What happens is it evaporates the water and just leaves your pigment behind. So if I left this and let it just dry, I'd have that really bold yellow. But by heat setting it a little, the outer edges are the first to dry and I get that really dark concentrated ring, which I love. And then all I do is come in here and just pick the inner parts, making sure you always find a clean spot on your paper towel so you're not depositing pigment. And what that gives you is those really fun dark outer rings where it looks like you use more than one color, but it's one ink. So I love that.
At the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So we have the messiest part is done now. Well, we're going to come back in with water, so don't put your water too far, but that's my base. I don't have to do anything else on that. That's done. So now what I'm going to do is grab my Misty, and all we're going to do is add a black layer on your coral reef background. And don't stamp this too dark. One application of ink is fine. Even if it doesn't stamp perfectly, it adds to the charm of the kind of loose coloring, okay? And then I did my green on a separate one, so I just want to make sure I stamp some leaves.
Got it. And remember, my cue here not to panic is that I'm going to be cutting these out anyway, so this is not a base. This was just paper. Okay, got it.
Doesn't matter what it looks like at all. Like, I am not concerned about you at all. I think what you have there is going to be perfect. Yes, and you see, when you place yours down, make sure your leaves are in your green spot.
Right, okay.
So shout out to Pink Fresh. Like, I was very confused when I first opened this, how this works. And I used it live I made cards. I don't know where I put them. I'll have to show you. But what I love is I actually just masked some of these areas when I wanted to specifically stamp in a certain area of my mixed media background and was still able to die cut them. It was a little tricky, but I love that I have two options for using this stamp set. I don't have to just stamp everything as one block. I can come in and mask areas and still use just that blossom repeated if I wanted to. So I'll have to find those cards that I made, because anybody out there who's a VBoo follower will know I'm a newer card maker. I was very intimidated by card making. I thought I couldn't do it. Isn't that crazy? I really thought, like, I can't work in that size. Like, I'm not very good at this. And I love, like, Pink Fresh was one of the first companies reached out and was sending me stuff to use. And I am now, I have to say, a full-on lover of card making. I love it.
Oh, I love that.
So I'm newer. I'm a newer card maker. So I'm sure when you're watching me do some of this stuff that you seasoned card makers are out like, wow, she's making a lot of work for herself. Look, friends, I'm new. So I'm going to get that on here and I'm going to add my ink and I'm going to stamp these flowers. And then we're going to heat set the ink. So when we go to do our blending, we aren't pulling gray into our bright, vibrant color. Okay.
Vicky, don't panic, but I had to add some more in order to use and maximize. So keep going. I will catch up to you. So I'll be right with you, but don't worry why I'm kissing still. I just needed to fix something really quick.
I love it. But you see, I love that you could see exactly what you needed and you're just adding it on there.
Totally. Yep.
So I'm just throwing some ink on just a floral part. I will wipe a little bit of the leaf off, just because I want to have a little portion of that for my sentiment. So don't go and ink up all of your leaves when you do it. Well, you can, Jeff, because you're using yours a little different. But for anybody who just used a full sheet of the coral reef, just kind of wipe the ink off a little bit on your leaves, just so you have the top portion for your sentiment. If by chance that doesn't work out, you could always just ink up another strip for your sentiment, okay? So I am going to stamp this. Like I said, I don't want this to be super dark, so don't do 2 applications of ink. Just make sure that you get a nice stamped image so you can see it, and then heat set that ink. See how pretty that is? Even if this is all you wanted to do and cut them out, you totally could. How you doing, Jeff?
Good. I'm about to mystify here. All right. And now you want me to do the same with leaves, right? Because I need to do leaves on the other side.
Yeah, and just add your leaves to that green spot. It actually works really well with where you put your ink. I'm crazy too, and I like to save things. So I'm going to just put the leaf right there on my paper. Just so I can use the rest of this later. That's the other thing, is you can cut multiple things, right? Yay! So just going to ink up. I don't care if it's perfect. And that's what I try. It's a big thing too when we are doing any of my techniques. And like I say, I scrapbook, I add it to cards. I do lots of different things. Art journaling. Really, I like it to make it art for everybody. So art for everyone. It doesn't matter what your medium or how you craft, that these techniques can work with anything. So I have my leaves, and that's it for the stamping.
Okay.
So I will get rid of my Misty. And like I said, you will want to, when you're done, Jeff, to give the whatever ink you're using a blast, because we are going to go in with a little bit of water again.
Okay.
So I just like to make sure that that ink is dry so that I'm not pulling that gray in.
Okay.
Yes. And Leah, this is Brighter Days set. I love this stamp set. I love the stamp set. I love the whole Pink Fresh system with the stamps, the stencils, the dies, and now the heat foiling, which, like I said, I'm going to have to get into.
Let me check in with everybody really quick while she comes in with that leaf, and I'll say hi to you all. So glad to have you join us. You're watching the Craft Hour here at Pink Fresh Studio. If you're watching on the replay, still play along with us and have a great time. Lori, thanks for being here. She says the Pink Fresh Studio products are awesome. And of course, we are discovering so much. You can have a lot of fun with our current March promotion happening. So be sure to jump in, and we're going to be giving away 2 gift cards for Vicky's very special show, which we're so excited to be able to do. Bethany just said that she started to use Pink Fresh Studios for the first time, and she's having a blast, and they are beautiful. I agree. And yeah, we're having a really good time. One of my favorite sets, says Dee, and Dee knows how to use all of our Pink Fresh products, that's for sure. All right, I'm going to get back down to the desktop. Remember, my color is a little oversaturated today, so you're seeing a little more intensity on mine, and you see the lighter, truer color on Vicky's with her studio light. So the natural light is kind of a little bit bright, but it shows you, again, the versatility and the color, and shows you that when you're watching things at home, that color can be very deceiving. All right, my friend, what's next?
We're going to stencil.
Okay.
So I love this. So if you guys are playing along at all, you will see like it, these are pretty just as they are. So if you wanted to use it just with the kind of ink dripping and the kissing, it's a beautiful technique. The magical thing now is we can totally elevate this with the stencils now. Like I said, you do not have to be a Picasso. Pink Fresh has set it all up that you can add and do all of this beautiful layering and building of color with these fabulous stencils. So like I said, I just wing it. I'm a winger of the things because one, I don't have the patience sometimes. So I'm just going to put the things down. I'm sure there are, because there's registration marks and all these things you can use. You would have to have cut your paper bigger than what I did. Okay. The registration marks won't really work. But the magical thing is these stencils are super easy to line up, and it does not have to be perfect with the technique that we've used. Okay, so I'm going to throw my stencil down, do my best to line it up. I think that looks perfect enough, right? And what you want to think about here is I don't want to go in now and cover all of the color that I just created. So really, I'm just going to go in and highlight some sections. With this bottom flower, this one here, you're coloring just the center petals on it. All the other ones, this one down here, I don't know what the flower is. This full bloom is the full flower. So just be careful when you're going in to add your ink. We aren't actually even using that one on the card, so it can be your practice. And we're going to go in. I have this color palette here of bubblegum, passion fruit, and raspberry bliss. So this is the darkest. It's the last one I'm going to use. I'm going to start with passion fruit because I feel like it's just the next color up depth wise from the coral reef. So I think it's a perfect one to start with because really we're laying base color and then we're going to go in and put details on top of this. So I'm going to go in and I have this like smaller little brush and I'm just going to go in and test your ink value, right? If you have a scrap or on your paper towel, I don't like it to be really wet when I start. I want to be able to build that color. So I'm going to go in and in the center here, just start to blend in a little bit of color coming out of the center of the flower. Right? I can go in and do that on all of them, a kind of daisy shape. And we'll do a little bit on the center of this one. I'm not going to color the full petals. I'm going to go in the center and maybe a little on the tips. But these stencils, don't you find them magical, Jeff?
Well, I find that they make it, they do the work for you and they control your, if you're aggressive or you make a decision that's a little bold, they take care of it for you and they keep the boundaries up for you and make you look like you're a lot better than you might be, you know?
Really, right? And the other thing that I find that it does is, sorry, I just had a little brain blip. You don't have to figure out where your shadow would be. It's all done for you. Like, I love that. You don't have to know like, oh, where would the light hit here and have to be perfect with highlight and shadow. It's all determined for you. So that was passion fruit. And the other thing, if you went in and you blended a little dark, just go back in with a little bit of your coral reef, right? Just bring that in and soften it a bit. Like I find then you don't have like this dark and light. Like that totally will go and soften out that first pigment, just going back in with the original color and you get a really nice soft blend. So like I said, I didn't use a ton. This also gives you the opportunity, like maybe with your kissing, you didn't have much pigment left. You can add a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to go back and forth between stencils. Like, look at just already, that just kind of made these pop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go in now with the detail stencil where it's going to color the little folded over parts of the leaves and some of the centers and gives lots of detail to that bigger one on the bottom. A little trickier to position if you didn't use the very helpful registration marks. But like I said, I'm not too concerned. If it's not perfect, it doesn't really matter with this. We're going to die cut them anyway. Okay. And I'm going to go in now with bubble gum. I am sure I'm totally stressing people out that I use this. I'm using the same blending brush for all of it because I'm in the warm palette. So don't go in too heavy. Don't be heavy-handed with this because you want this to really, for you to be able to control how much pigment you're putting down. Okay. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of the bubble gum and you will notice that we're going like pink and peach. So what I will end up doing is we can soften some of that up by coming back in with our peachier colors. So I'm not adding it everywhere, just a little bit. I'm getting a little bit of dark dark application with some of it, but it's okay. I can come in and blend some of that out. How you doing, Jeff?
Good. I'm about to start with bubble gum on my details. I just lined up the brush. I'm sorry, the stencil.
Very good. So yeah, I love this. This was fun. And I feel like you could whip a bunch of these off and it's so relaxing.
And definitely bright, which I love. I'm going to pull out a detailing brush from Altenew, which I've been really excited about.
Ooh, I want to see your detailing brush. I love it. So see, when you look at these now, I'm going to go back in because this is not how my finished flowers are going to look, because now we're going to add a little yellow. And that's what I used. And we're also going to do some watermarking on, because I found once I put like full stenciled pigment on, that I lost kind of that drippy technique. So I'm going to show you how we fix that as our last step. So go ahead and give your stencil a little clean if you're switching colors, right? So I'm going to go in here and just give that a little wipe so I can go in with the yellow. And I'm not going to contaminate everything with the pigment that's already left on my stencil. And what I find by doing this and adding that little bit of yellow, it will tie our background, those drips that we did.
Now, are we using the same stencil on this yellow too?
The big one again, like the fuller one.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Because like do you notice now with those colors we put down, it's really high contrast.
Okay.
Between the pigments. So now what I did is as I'm working through, because this was my process with the coloring, is I'm like, I like it, but I feel like I need to blend it out. So I'm going to go in with some mustard seed now, and maybe even some coral reef. Holy moly, with that color, Vicky, I have so much trouble. And I'm going to color kind of in the mid space of some of these flowers, just a little bit of, oh, look it. And when you put that on there, it makes your coral reef, which is underneath there, really pop. So just a little bit. And that's where I got that really hot magical color you were loving, is by putting a little bit of the mustard seed now on top. It really makes those other colors sing. Do you see it happening?
Yeah, it looks great. I'm so irritated about my studio coloring here and the lighting. I've never been as frustrated today, but there's some weird light going. Let me try the overhead, and I think it's going to blow us out too much. Yeah, we're not gonna.
Yeah, give it a try.
Let me give a white balance check. Let's see if we can. Sorry, everybody. This is real life.
It is. It's fine, right?
We're not digging that. We're gonna go back to. Let me white balance it out again. All right, that's a little bit better. All right, so we're going with marigold or sweet mustard. What are we doing with when we bring back? And just will you check me really quick to make sure this is the larger stencil that you want me to use? And now we're gonna bring in some sweet mustard or marigold. Which one are we doing?
Sweet mustard.
Sweet mustard.
So when you lay the larger stencil down, and all I used is to highlight some of that, the lighter section areas, and then to blend out that pink that is very high contrast. It's very pink compared to my kind of peachier tones. So by layering that sweet mustard on top of bubble gum, I get this beautiful, a little bit rustier pink.
You do? Okay, I'm seeing it. I got it. Okay.
You don't need much.
Okay.
A little goes a long way. And because I'm super detail girl and just like to play, I got to this point and went, okay, I like this, but now I have like solid blocks of color. So all I did is I went in with some of the coral reef, and I'm just going to add a little bit of watercolor, because you don't have anything on this bottom flower that you can kind of go out and color some of those areas. So what I did is just took my paintbrush. I'm wicking the water, because when you load it, it's very wet and then I can't control the water. So just take a paper towel and just get most of that moisture off. And then I just went in and tapped some pigment just to make it look a little bit more watercolory. So when I'm going in,
everybody's being so sweet and like cheering me on, saying that we're very different, but it's looking very good, which I very much appreciate, everybody. Again, with the lighting there we go. When we have the more direct light, you can kind of see what's happening there. Pay no attention to remember, I'm here to host and to learn.
I love it, Jeff, though. And your color doesn't matter, because if anything, I think people will see it and look like, oh, look, it's another option.
It's an option. Yeah, it's an option, everybody.
Yeah. I love it. So because I added that little bit there, all I'm going to do is just give that a quick blast. We need to do the centers, and then we can do the leaves. Okay. Just because that's wet. Now I covered most of my centers, so we're going to use it just so we can see the stencil, but on my card, I put something in the middles anyway. And I think your color looks better now.
Yeah, it's coming along. I was doing water direct to the pad, which Leah's probably screaming, which I should not have done. It's supposed to go on here. This is fun. This is definitely a new way of getting your muscles in line as far as color.
Well, and I don't want it to be where it's, well, one, you're having technical difficulties, so you're probably like trying to stay on top of that. Plus, Vicky running through this like a speed demon.
But that's what you paid attention in rehearsal. You knew that that's what you were supposed to do. So, all right.
Now I'm going to tell you, just because I'm looking at this and going back in, I'm going to add a little bit more bubble gum in the center of this top flower, just because I want to. You guys don't have to do this. And then we'll do the leaves. So we're going to do, the leaves are quick because there's only a few little details with that stencil. And then we're going to do some watermarking on it. So I just pulling out that pink a little bit. There.
And I just looked at the clock. We're 8 minutes. So we gotta get going. Now we can go over. People will stay with us, but we
okay. Anybody who knows me knows, Jeff, how long do you think my Friday night lives are?
that was good. So am I going back? What can I get started on my end?
Your leaves.
Okay. And this
so you have this where you can color actually pretty much the entire leaf, right? With this. Yep. So what I'm going to use this for is just the guide for adding a little bit of pigment on the tips and just kind of add some shading. Okay. So I'm cleaning the stencil brush or the blending brush I have, and I'm just using the same one. So you can go in with mint if you want to. Actually, it's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use the mint. I'm going to go in with the same color just to add some depth. Okay. So I'm layering that stencil and quickly just adding a little bit of pigment in some areas, because I'm going to show you something that's fun that we can do too. So I'm just adding a little bit more pigment kind of through the center of the leaf with the original color. Okay. There, a little bit of color, then we can go in with the detail stencil. The right way. And then I'm just going to add one of my darker colors. So I called out all these colors. I don't know if you need all the greens. I'm going to go in with meadow.
Meadow, you got it.
And again, this is just that detail pattern with the second stencil. Again, friends, if you are not familiar with these layering stencils with Pink Fresh, they're amazing. I love that. Don't even have to think about it. Just kind of get it in there, deposit your color. Now, what I'm going to do here, just because when I looked at it, I loved it, but I'm like, ooh, it'll be fun. You know what? I'm going in, watch. You're going to laugh. Remember, coming back with the second color. Put the full leaf stencil back on, Jeff, when you're done putting that detail.
Okay.
And just to get like a third kind of pigment playing in there, that's when I'm going to add a little bit of grassy knoll.
Okay.
I want to pull a little bit of yellow green out so it goes with the yellow in our background. So this green definitely is more of a yellow green. So I'm just depositing a little bit. And what we're going to do next, and then we're going to die cut, is see how now your pigment is pretty solid. Like it's a pretty solid coverage. Well, the magical thing with these inks is even though you can use it as a watercolor, we also can watermark in it. So if I take my loaded paintbrush now, where I have all that heavy ink, and then just start to add some drips of water, I can do the reverse technique where that will kind of eat at the ink and give me that mottled watercolor look. You don't want a lot because it'll blend out all of your detail, but do that. And then I take my paper towel and don't rub, lift like that. And then you get that kind of mottled, drippy watercolor look on top of your leaves. And then when you dry it, it really will pop. So sorry, friends, that I'm going over. That's just like typical Vicky fashion.
Everybody is hanging in there. It's great. Hey, Miss Leah, should we do a gift card? One of the first 15s really quick as we're trucking along. If you'll let me know in our moderator chat, that would be great. Maybe you've already done it because I've been so in the chat. Everybody, thanks so much. We are doing a more detailed technique, but my goodness, I've never used color as beautifully as I am today. This green, I'm really particularly happy with. Look at that.
Let me see.
Yeah, looking great.
Love it.
Yep.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is die cut them.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I'm going to just run and there's the other magical thing about this set is it's all in one piece. So I will have to do 2 runs because my leaves are on a second page, right? But all you do is line that up. And don't laugh, friends, at the die cutting machine I'm going to pull on here. I own multiple. I said to Jeff, are people going to laugh at my die cutting machine? I own multiple die cutting machines, the electrical ones, all of them, but I always pull out my very ancient Sizzix Big Kick. It's just, I don't know why. And the platform I'm using on it is from my Tim Holtz machine. It's just, I'm a hot mess. Right?
She does what she knows, everybody. She does what she knows.
Telling you. So I line that up. I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine. I don't care if it's perfect. Like I said, it adds to the charm as long as I can see most of the image in there. Now get ready for it.
Oh,
here comes the dinosaur. And here's where the magic really happens is when you quiet all of this by cutting out the your images, you're going to look at it and go, wow, that they totally will pop. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to cut those out. I'll cut the leaves. Here we go with the very ancient mixed platform. That's how Vicky rolls. And everybody who follows me knows I think I have like 4 different die cutting machines, but I don't care. I'm pulling out my mixed platform. Hot mess. Girl's a hot mess. But watch now when you pop these out, look how magical when all that contained funk from that background, right? And you can feel like a master colorer, but you don't have to be. I forgot to put the centers on, but like I said, we're covering them anyway. But look how pretty, right?
Perfect. I mean, so fun.
And then just keep in mind when you're mixing your colors, you want to use what you have. Just try to keep close on the color wheel, right? Oh, look, and I can use something. Look at that. Remember where I said they can be super pretty just as like a background? That could make a beautiful card if you just did a whole bunch of leaves in the watercolored
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Just background, right? So let me
Very
cut my leaves out.
D, that's a very D look to it, doesn't it? All right.
Yes,
We're definitely going to go over time, that's for sure. Just hang in there, everybody. We'll keep going, and we're having a lot of fun. And we're definitely using color in a way that I've never had the opportunity to use before. Look at that. Mine come across on camera a little orangey, which is totally fine, but they're redder in real life.
I love them. They're beautiful. Look at all the pigment in there.
Yeah, strong pigment, which has been great.
Okay, so I'll cut my leaves. The actual assembly part doesn't take as long. The heavy lifting was all in the doing the art part. So cut those out, and I just realized I think I might have to see. We'll see my sentiment here. And then look at the leaves. I love them.
They're looking so the depth to them is fantastic, and it definitely has the spirit of that watercolor, but also is much more bolder than most watercolor. Everybody, I hope you're having fun with Craft Hour. We're having a blast. We're going over a little bit. We have two $15 gift cards. Let's check in though. 250 people are watching right now, but only 161 of you have liked. So let's smash that thumbs up button. Let's create and connect. For those of you just joining, join me on Instagram and have fun with me at Mr. Jeff Lindberg. Say hello if you're a Vicky fan, and I don't know you. I'd love for you to follow me. And let's watch and assemble this card. Let's bring her home with a really great card. You can see us going now to that background that we created just a little bit earlier. All right, back to the desktop. Mine, again, is coming across like I had fun with the highlighter, but I promise in real life that it is much more subdued than me opening up a highlighter from grade school and blasting the paper. Okay, awesome. Oh my
So
God.
now I'm looking, and remember, I totally told you a fib that I thought we'd have enough at the top of this to do our sentiment. So I am going to very quickly do a kiss technique too. I have an extra card because you will need a piece for the sentiment. Now you could die cut a sentiment here. You don't. I was just trying to use what we have instead of bringing another SKU or product in. So why I was like, oh, how could we use that stenciled bit to make our sentiment? So I thought I'd have enough on my sheet. I did not. So I will quickly just do a little kiss with Coral Reef. Yes, please, friends, still stick around. If you know me, I try to get the most out of everything. So even though we have a limited time, I'm going to give you as much as I can in that little spot of time as possible. And obviously, and over. So I'm just going to give that a quick blast. I will do, this probably is enough. I think for our background, this is fine.
And this is, what are we creating here with this? What is this that we're doing?
The sentiment. I didn't have enough left at the top of my, what I die cut the flowers with.
Okay.
So to do this little word strip, it has that little bit of a kiss of color in the background.
Ah, I got it. Okay.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is what's left on my sheet, I'll just add a couple of dots, which adds to the charm for the second layer. And then it's
this was Coral Reef, you said?
Yes. Okay. And then that's where we're going to go in with these are the two colors that I'm going to use for the stencil. So when you're grabbing your goodies, so you will find the Pink Fresh ink does magical things when you add water. It turns into, you get two tones out of that color where the pigments separate, and I get the peach and the pink on there. So definitely play around with these inks. Go beyond just your traditional. They're great stamping inks, but they also do these magical things with the watercoloring technique. Isn't it pretty, Jeff?
Oh, great.
Right? So all you want is that kind of mottled watercolor background, and then we can go on and we can stencil our sentiment.
Okay.
So I do it on the whole sheet, and then I can decide where I want to cut it out.
Okay.
So just throw your hello, maybe kind of in the, make sure you leave a little bit of space above. And you could tack that down if you want to. I'm just going to hold it when I add my ink because it doesn't take long. And I'm going to go in first with bubble gum. Once I can get it open. So I thought this would be fun because you already have this set to use the sentiment off the stamp set and to use the sentiments that are included in the stencil. You can mask friend if you feel like you might go onto that area. So I'll just put a card on top of it so I don't have partial part of the friend on there.
Okay.
And I'm going to go in now with the, what color was it again? Bubble gum. And just putting the pigment down. Just fill that stenciled area in with the bubble gum.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Okay. And then what you're going to do is give that a little wipe, give the stencil a little wipe just so you don't color or pull that pigment in.
Okay.
And you're going to shift it over slightly to leave a shadow of bubble gum and then put your raspberry bliss on top.
This is also another technique that I've never done before. This is fun.
And you can do this with any of your pink fresh stencils, right? It's just shift it and create a shadow. So what, instead of this it's pretty, but it's kind of flat. By going in now with your second color, so I line my stencil up so it's perfect, and then I just shift it so that you get like a slight shadow effect.
And what color am I using on this drop shadow?
You want a darker one, so I'm going to go in with raspberry bliss.
Okay.
And go pretty dark with that so you see the contrast between the two colors.
Okay.
Oops, I hope I didn't get into friend a little bit, but we'll be okay. So now see you have that little shift, little bit of shadow. And so if you did see what I did there and I got a little bit of the F for friend on there, I'm just going to pretend like, ooh, look, it's a little bit of a water drop. So if I just took the detail out, it's still, you won't see that hard line. So if you did what I did, okay.
Okay.
And then all I did to finish this one off is put it in my MISTI and stamp the sentiment that comes on the stamp set that is, you make my days brighter. So hello, you make my days brighter. If I can find, oh, there it is, find it. So I just lined my stamp up wherever I want that positioned underneath hello. I have to stand up so it's straight. I wonder who's making along with us today, Jeff.
Yeah,
nobody making the card
out there. Thanks everybody for Cindy. I did put my colors on a little heavier today. You're right. Yeah, I hope you're all doing it. And yes, it's Vicky's foundations paper, my foundations. Yeah. Well, no, you're saying mine, but it's the title is Vicky Boutin's foundations paper, right?
And it is a magical thing. Even if you're never going to do anything along with me, scrapbook, the one takeaway that will work beautifully with your inks and all of your mediums. And if you love coloring or using texture paste or anything like that, foundations paper is a game changer when you're using wet mediums or coloring. So I'm going to go in there now. Go ahead.
Black?
Sorry, Jeff.
With black?
Yeah, with black. I opted for black, just thought it would pop. And stamp that. Ooh, I love it. Okay. And then we use what we had, right? So if you are newer and you're just starting collecting your card making materials, what I love is we did not then have to go into our inventory. We could use everything that we have if you decide to buy this whole kind of set, and you have go out Jeff was saying that D is here, and I actually went and looked like, oh, what have people done with this stamp set? Because I'm newer to the whole layering aspect, right? And there is so much inspiration with this amazing design team that you have at Pink Fresh, that I love that it's one stamp set. You can use it for card making. You could 100% use it for art journaling. You could use it for scrapbooking, which before we leave, I'll make sure I grab the cards that I used all of the stamps individually and made a card, because I'm new. I'm a new card maker, right? I have been around as a paper crafter, scrapbooker for over 20 years. But I was intimidated by the card making world. I thought if the scale is too small, I don't know if I can manage it. I'm so over the top and big with everything, right?
I am going to fix my hello later. I'm not too pleased. I want to cut it down in a different way. But it's just the sentiment is not where I would love for it to be. How are you? You're going to do that with a cut. We're going to cut this out. I take it, right?
Yeah, and so all I did is when I was playing, like, this is what I started with, right? I was happy with this. I'm like, I can figure out how to layer these down with some pop dots. That's magic. Right. What am I going to do with a sentiment? So think, when I first did this, I had it on a white card. And I was like, should I leave it on white? And you totally could. It's very pretty. Liked it, kind of positioned, right? But then I was like, ooh, I need to add Vicify it. So then I went in there with the little drops of yellow and then went, okay, so what can I use sentiment wise? I had other sentiments that Pink Fresh kindly sent me that we could have got into a different set, but I'm like, okay, I love the challenge of how do I use what I have? And that's when I came to this. So then to fit it in here, I'm just going to cut it out like a flag banner. So I went slightly above my hello, about a 1/4 inch. And then I cut underneath about a 1/4 inch underneath my little sentiment strip. So then I ended up with this, right? And then you could do it even wider and it could go as a band across, or you can lay it out and decide where you want it to start and end. And I thought, oh, a flag banner will be fun. I love to flag banner everything. So I just found kind of the center of that and cut in, I don't know, about a 1/2 inch and then met. And that might be too big, we'll see. But that's why go big, bigger than what you need, and you can always cut it down. Right, and then made my little flag banner. There we go. And then I knew, oh, that's a little bit long, so I'm just going to cut a little piece off the side. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm good. I'm going to assemble mine after the show, just so I can bring us on home, because you are trekking along. As you can see, I made the sentiment and I'm going to catch it. And you can all kind of see that I'm headed into that direction, but I want to make sure that I bring us home and say goodbye to everybody before we come back. You keep going though, my friend. You're doing great.
Okay.
You're home run. All right. Let's jump over here and say, everybody, hey, we've had some winners in the comments while we've been gone. So we're excited about that. Gift card winners today are Pam Gronke and Barbara Leffingwell.
I love it.
Yeah,
congratulations, friends.
206 thumbs up already. Great interactions. It's so fantastic. We are stretching our imaginations with bold, bright colors with a brand new approach to dynamic use of watering and watercolor effects, the kissing technique with Vicki Boutin. Hope you've been enjoying the show. It's been a fantastic show with a lot of bold, beautiful colors. And we're now assembling our card perfectly. You can see Vicki over there on the side, taking the final moments to create her piece. And it is just such a colorful way and purely Vicki, which we love, which is fantastic. I hope that you've had fun in the chat with us, everybody. We weren't able to interact just as much, but I want you to know that we've had a blast. Again, if you're new, make sure you take a moment to say hi to me on Instagram. I love interacting. All of our products will be linked below so that you can join and have fun and take advantage of that fabulous March Creators Month special that we have going on. 10% is available through March 10th. There's some exclusions, on some things that we need to take control of to make sure that inventory is there, but there's still a lot of products for you to have fun. And I know that our two winners, Pam and Barbara, will have a blast as well. Let me get off the screen and get over to back to Vicky so you can see her assemble a little bit closer. So Vicky, I'll go back here and then I will pin you so people
saw
can...
Simon out there too. Hello, my friend Simon.
Oh, Simon is so supportive of the show. It's good to have Simon.
Oh, he's a wonderful,
always here. Geraldine says we have beautiful cards. Dee, of course, loved it. Thank you, Pink Fresh Studios, says Angela H. Annette for F says congratulations, winners. I love the support from everybody, which is fantastic. Hold that up a little closer there, Vicky, so that they can see. Look what we made today, everybody. It is just another great Vicky B card. Vicky, do you mind going to your other camera? I'll pull you out.
Yeah, I will.
Then we'll say goodbye to everybody. Let me go ahead and get you going.
Just give me a sec.
Oh, great.
I have to flip.
We'll flip you live in front of everybody just to save some time. Everybody, look, Vicky B was here all the way from Niagara Falls, cold Canada. You were telling me earlier that you got to flip to Celsius and you're getting ready to have a very weird winter storm happen. Is that true?
Yeah, it's going to be really warm tomorrow with thunderstorms. And then it's going to drop down to -2 and we're going to have a snowstorm.
Oh my goodness. Wacky.
So have you ever had snow with thunder? It's going to be awesome.
Completely normal. Vicky B, thanks for being on the show today. I can't wait to assemble your card. We'll take pictures of it and we'll post it on our Instagram. And of course, you can find it on our fan group. If you're not already there, check out our fan group. And of course, it'll be on our Instagram channels as well. Vicky B, everyone knows you, so this is silly, but promotion's always a good thing. Where can everybody find you and when can they join you next?
So I am on all of the platforms as Vicky Boutin. So you can find me on YouTube under Vicky Boutin, on Instagram under Vicky Boutin, and on Facebook, Vicky Boutin Artist. And then I have a private group on Facebook that is the Vicky Boutin Creative Community, where we just keep the party going. And every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I do a live that are usually 2 to 3 hours long. They're classes. It's classes. I'll show you what I did last night.
Yeah, show me what you used with the Pink Fresh Studio products. That's great. Look at that.
It's not yet, but that's coming. So you guys know, because I made a boo-boo and I didn't realize that the new, what is the hearts one? I forgot. Happy Hearts.
Okay. Yep.
So Happy Hearts, I got a whole box of it.
Okay.
So I am planning to do an impromptu live probably on a Wednesday. I will let you guys know so you can let everybody know. And we will build a whole layout and card using Happy Hearts with the Pink Fresh inks. I'm going to do a whole free class using Happy Hearts. So
Perfect.
the date's coming. I just have to figure out when to do it. But that box is a box of happy. And I am totally going to do something, because to thank Pink Fresh for sending that to me, I will do one of my lives, an impromptu live using all of the Happy Hearts. So people are inspired when their new product arrives that they'll have something they can make with it right away.
Fantastic. And that's why we love you so much. Hey, everybody, don't forget, we have a Ukraine card drive happening. Check it out. Make sure that that's going on. Support, send love. And remember, while we can't do much here in the States right now, we can be a brighter people. We can create happiness by the art that we use. Pink Fresh Studio creates things in order for us to bring happiness to others. Let's bond during this weird time and use our creative forces for good. Vicky Boutin, you're perfect at that. Thank you so much for being on the show, my love. We'll see you later, okay?
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Pink Fresh.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great Saturday, and we'll see you in a month with a new guest here at Craft Hour. Make sure you like and subscribe, connect with us, and we'll talk to you soon. We're all about creating and connecting right here on Pink Fresh Studio. Bye, everybody. We did it.